your souls will be happy eventually that you did this. Okay, it's very courageous, right, to even talk about feelings because, well, we've been running from them our entire lives. So, I'm going to tell you first about me. I have had a massive amount of emotional pain to deal with in my lifetime, and it mostly wasn't about stuff that happened to me. I just kind of came in that way. But I've also had some severely dramatic circumstances, too, occasionally. Some things that not everybody might know about me from the surface level, right? But the most important thing is that I was born to parents who were extremely emotionally repressed. So I was forced to learn how to deal with my feelings because there's just one system that I teach also that's called human design that shows that I do not have my own emotional motor. Most people who, and actually Allison and maybe Alyssa knows a little bit about this stuff. Some people have kind of heard my spiel a little bit before, but some people have emotional motors and people don't in that system. If you're around people who have emotional motors and you don't, you're taking in all their feelings and giving them back at them all the time. And it can be very confusing because you think they're your feelings. That was my situation with my entire family. My entire family had emotional motors and I didn't. If you want to learn about you and your situation, come to next week's Wednesday class because we're going to do that whole human design emotional stuff, actually, which will really be a great addition to this class. And that one's only $10 and we're like going to figure out whether you have an emotional motor or not. And then talk about what to do about it. Okay, so most of any techniques we've been given in our society are about coping, right? Coping meaning that you just have a situation, you learn how to deal with it, kind of in the sense of like that it's going to be permanent, you're not going to be able to get rid of it. Because really, our society has no idea what to do with feelings. In fact, we even drug people up so that they won't have to feel their feelings, right? That is not a good thing, guys. But I understand why it happens because we have no understanding of our feelings. The fact of the matter is we came into this body partially so that we could feel emotions. You can't have you actually don't have an emotional body in I don't know exactly because I'm not, always hanging out in other realms and other planets, but I know that most other realms and planets and existences, you don't have the same kind of physical and emotional body that you have here. So this is a huge learning opportunity. And that's why we're supposed, and I've heard this confirmed after doing this is like my entire life's work really right here. After I went down this path forever, I started finally getting confirmation from different sources that are, esoteric or even just like conventional psychology is finally starting to pick this up. So the fact is that every time you run from your feelings, you're not doing yourself a favor, actually. You're actually making the problem worse. And we're going to learn how to deal with it today in a really, not that difficult fashion, actually. You're going to be surprised at how simple it is. But even if you get nothing out of this class, if you get nothing out of, even if you don't practice the technique that I teach you, please just remember that the approach to feelings, I think there's not going to be anybody that's going to be able to pretend like they can go back to the old way. Because your whole attitude towards feelings is going to be different, right? So I went through tons of esoteric education. I went to San Francisco State University. I created my own major there. I did dance, theater, psychology, and holistic health. And I learned meditation techniques. I did tons of yoga and things like that. It's hot in here, huh? I'm going to go turn the air conditioning on.
I'm
okay. I'm going to run.
I'm okay. I must not be over there.
Mm-hmm. It's always a little bit hot when you first get here. Okay, so the thing is, I had so much emotional pain all the time that I was always trying to find something to deal with it, right? Cope with it or whatever. So that's why I've done so many things. I know what autogenic training is. A lot of people have never heard of that one. I've done self-hypnosis. I've done well, I've done transcendental meditation. That was a big one. I've done Tai Chi. I've done acupuncture. I've done a lot of stuff. And I have 2 BAs and master's degree. Even those really didn't teach me anything about how to deal with feelings. Okay? The person who taught me how to deal with feelings, thank God, was one of my guides who had decided to incarnate with me this lifetime. Because if I hadn't had him, I probably would have gone along the same path like everybody else and wondered what the heck we're supposed to do about this. In fact, I did an intensive 2 years of meditation. Like, I think I was meditating 3.5 hours a day at least for 2 straight years with yoga and studying Sanskrit and doing a bunch of other weird things like that. And I can't like not teach you guys about my mentor. I'm gonna write a book about him at some point, and I'm also gonna write a book about this because all the younger generations are gonna have to start doing this. Not that the older generations can't, but most of them really, really, really don't want to. Most of them. So, you know, the younger generations have no choice. You can't escape it, huh? There's no, like, option, really. So, this is the thing. This guy walked up to me, he was already my friend, and he said, "You're not evolving anymore." Meaning, like, you're not getting anywhere, you're not growing spiritually any longer, even though you've been doing that much meditation every day for 2 years. That's a lot. Oh, and by the way, Vedic reading, like Sanskrit, is actually a quite intense kind of evolutionary exercise also. It makes you want to, like, kind of blows your mind out a little bit sometimes. So I said, yeah, you're right. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, actually. Like, I found a real answer to that question. And he was like, okay, well, we need to deal with your feelings. And I was like, hallelujah, somebody's going to teach me something I don't know. So this is what he taught me, what I'm going to teach you. And there's a lot of different variations. I've learned other techniques since then, you know, that kind of slightly approach this, but nothing is actually this fundamental. Like, the simpler and the more fundamental you get with techniques, the better the better off you are. Because when you get really complicated, you're just doing stuff in your mind. And when you're running through stuff through your mind, it's not really doing anything except for giving you a lot of puzzle pieces to sort out. And it's just kind of like entertaining you to have a lot of stuff in your brain, right? Your mind is not an authority for anything. That is a big deal, huh? Because everybody's like, if you could just be smarter, then you could figure out your whole life, right? It's not true. Your mind is not an authority. Your mind can be used for, like, problem solving or, like, you know, should I get from point A to point B? That stuff's good. You need your mind for that, right? But as far as enlightenment or happiness or success or any of the things you actually want, love, not going to get you there. Your mind is not going to get you towards love, right? Most of us kind of figure that out. Okay, so that's kind of about me there. I also have a bunch of dance experience and everything, and that's part of my deal too. So I'm really into the physical body, which is good, because if you're going to do emotions, you've got to feel them in your physical body, okay? That's the whole thing about being on Earth, is feeling your emotional body, your physical body. This health model that you've got, that most of you have got, I'll draw it really fast, and then we're going to go on. It is what I have learned after so many certifications and educations and all that stuff, right? This is, I didn't learn this, actually. Nobody taught me this. This is just what I figured out on my own. Okay? If you have a soul, okay, and you don't have to believe me about anything, actually. In fact, my mentor would say, never believe anyone just because they say something. Right? Only believe your own experience. Okay? So it's only if you can validate it in your own experience that you should believe me. But there's probably a reason why you showed up tonight. Like, you're probably on the right vibration to start getting this. So, your mind is creating your entire life, okay? Your mind is not your soul. Your mind is not your emotions, right? you've got the better. This will not be quite as good as what you've got there, but okay. Okay, so the problem is their whole society is like, don't feel that here, have some ice cream. Seriously, guys, like, we have to stop acting like we're like 5, you know? The ice cream is not bad, okay? And it's not bad to do self-loving techniques, which we'll talk about later. But we have to stop this whole running away from life thing, because actually, that's part of why we're here. And it takes a little bit of courage at first, but it gets easier and easier. And it's really like just that initial courage to start feeling your feeling. You will be so happy that you did it. And your whole soul, all of your people in other dimensions that are helping you, everybody will be happy. Everything will try to help you. Okay, so you're creating your reality from up here, okay? And most people have these beliefs in here like this. They're creating this like shape of beliefs, okay? And any shape that you've got in your mental body is not good. And by the way, if you're getting confused, don't worry, I'm going to give you tons of opportunities to ask questions. You're going to understand everything, okay? You're creating a whole like mental body here that's inflexible by having beliefs at all. Because in actuality, we are a facet of God or the universal source, and we are supposed to just be open to everything, and then we just spontaneously line up with whatever we're supposed to do, wherever we're supposed to go, whatever we're supposed to think. And actually, we're not supposed to think a lot of stuff because it's just entertainment, like I said, it's just chatter. You guys all live in a society where this is king, okay? Everybody is doing like up here all the time. So a lot of the feelings that you feel are not your fault. A lot of the situations that you've had emotionally in your life are not your fault, okay? But only you can deal with it, right? Only you can take responsibility for it because nobody else is going to, because you're in your own body. And so all you can do is just feel. Like if you're somebody like me who doesn't have an emotional motor and there's a bunch of people in your household that are emotional and they're pretending that they're not emotional, and so then you're feeling all of their feelings, there's nothing else I can do, though, besides process those feelings like they're mine. Because it's been given to me, and it wouldn't be given to me if I couldn't do it. And that must be part of the reason why I came in with a body and with that ability to feel that much. And by the way, if you can feel a lot, you guys, you're a bigger soul than people who can't feel as much. And that is not like so that you can walk around and be snotty or anything. But if you're here right now, it's probably because you have a capacity to feel that some people don't have yet. So you have to kind of like understand, you have to start understanding like your greatness as part of this whole thing. And you have to start doing some self-loving. We're going to talk about self-loving stuff, because if you don't do self-loving, it's much, much harder to do this. Because most of us have really bad self-esteem, actually. Even people who think they have really great self-esteem. It's because of this, okay? We have these beliefs in here, and a lot of them are society's beliefs. Just from being here on Earth, you inherited a bunch of stuff, okay? Like, you know, what you're supposed to wear when you go out, and who you're supposed to talk to, and all this stuff that actually has no major bearing on your soul, right? So, that stuff is starting to get dissolved in the collective, actually, now, too, because a lot of this stuff is getting unraveled, because our whole vibration on Earth is raising, and it's not even an option anymore for people to care about the dumb little things they used to care about. I mean, like, you know, what's polite behavior in the situation when you're at the, I don't know, I'm not thinking of a really great example, but you know what I'm talking about? These, like, little societal things that used to be important, they're not important anymore, and there's a reason. And the reason is that we're supposed to individually take responsibility for everything that we can heal in our body right now. People have said that this lifetime, you can heal all of your past lives right now. And if you believe in past lives, then you know that could be a lot. It could be a lot of healing feeling that you're capable of. So that's my advice, is try not to take on extra beliefs about what you should be doing, okay? Your guys as parents, or your children, or your families, or your friends even might have a bunch of ideas about what you should be doing. And it does not matter. They need to worry about themselves, okay? And all we can do is worry about ourselves. And all of that stuff is just like extra mental stuff to go in here. I have a soapbox, okay? My soapbox is that in the New Age community, everybody says, just think positive, think positive. Are you watching your thoughts right now? Did you just think something negative? Okay? They don't have the wrong idea, because we are creating our reality from up here. But if we're like sitting there thinking about how we need to be positive and we need to rein in and referee all of our thoughts all day, that is a lot of extra energy, let me tell you, because you have like, I think it's 40,000 thoughts a day or something. So don't, if you're listening to me, if you want to listen to me, don't go that route, because that route is really a lot of stress actually, and it does not go to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is to take some of this stuff out, man, with like, one of those, what do you call it, those balls and chains, like do some construction work on that. Wrecking ball, okay? Take it out like that, because you're getting techniques now. People are putting techniques out to change your beliefs, okay? And if you change your beliefs permanently by having awareness of the belief, and Melissa knows this because she went to a class with me where we learned the empowerment process, and someday I'm probably going to teach it, because I'm going to inherit it or whatever, because it's my favorite one. I do it with people all the time. And it takes awareness of your belief, goes to the new perspective of what is your life really like without that belief, because it's probably causing you so much pain, right? And then it energetically shifts you. Okay, that's the main thing, is it's not like just talk, right? But you have to participate. You have to participate in your own belief changing. If somebody says they're going to heal you, and they say, lay down, I'm going to heal you. And so you lay down and you let them heal. There's only so far that can go. You might feel better, you might get something out of it. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen, but that kind of era is kind of going to be over pretty soon, because we're going to start taking responsibility for our own selves. And the thing is, you can't go that far with somebody else doing all the work for you. So I do energy work too. I do massage also, and I'm not saying that you can't help people, okay? But now we're going to start being able to really change the core root of the problem, instead of like putting a Band-Aid on it all the time, which is what we're doing. Like even with acupuncture and energy work and massage and all that stuff, even though I love all that stuff and it's great for you, even like eating better food, all of those things do not go to the core root issue, is the problem. And the issue is you created your whole reality in your mind. And then a lot of emotions got slapped onto that. They got stuck onto that belief system. And if you can release those beliefs and those feelings, then all of this gets better. You guys, it's almost immediate that this starts getting better when you change this. And then I would say you've got a week or two before it completely unblocks a part of your energy and gives you more energy. And then you've got like a month or two before you have physical results. So your body actually changes. And I know this from myself, from doing it on myself, but also other people have told me that when I've helped them with beliefs and feelings and stuff, like I've done a little bit of work with Allison here, it eventually gets to this point. Now, when you first do it, you're kind of like, I think that worked, but it's a little bit more subtle, right? But the more you do it, the more you're very clear about what's happening, and it starts being like, yes, yay, finally start changing this stuff, okay? It's going to change everybody around you, too, when you start having less beliefs. That's what I'm going to say, is less beliefs, because people right now want to substitute positive beliefs for negative ones. But that's still, it's still kind of not getting to the root of the problem. And when you have less beliefs, you're just going to spontaneously think whatever your soul, you know, thinks and feels. And that's awesome. You don't need anything else. You're just yourself after that. Okay, so then everything is healthy, okay? Because if we're completely open to God, source, whatever you want to call it, goddess, universe, you can believe whatever you want, I don't care. But there is a higher power, and if you are open to that, then you will be a seamless part of that, and all of this will be clearer. This will all be clearer. So, okay. So, this is a thing. So when you do a belief process, I know 5 different belief processes. There's more than that out there now. Some of them that I know you can actually do online, radicalforgiveness.com, Byron Katie's their work. You can go to my friend Rory Goff's website, rorygoff.com. He's got particle work. I'm going to do a workshop on that pretty soon. Empowerment Process has its own website, Janet Swartz, and there's just more and more because people are starting to realize that if we completely permanently change our beliefs instead of giving us affirmations, which are good, affirmations are good, vision boards are good, you guys, all that stuff is good, but it's just not as permanent. You want to, like, clear it out. And it's like giving your mind a cleanse. Okay. So, and that can be, like, more powerful even than a body cleanse. Even though body cleanses are good, too. I like those. Okay. So, when you do belief process, it takes out a little part of this shape, okay? As you did that, yeah, it's not going to take out your whole shape. We're not here on Earth with a whole long lifetime of hopefully 100 years, right? We're not here to just be able to do everything instantly all the time. That's not how the third dimension works either, right? It's like slow and dense and heavy, and it takes a long time. It even takes a long time to get anywhere, right, in a car. And when I'm going to teach you your emotional process, you can even do that while you're in the car frustrated that you're not, getting anywhere because there's traffic, whatever. So, when you unravel a little part of this, though, the big, huge effect that it has is that it loosens everything up, though, here, okay? It loosens everything up because you've started your work. And this is the work that we're really kind of here supposed to do. Like, all of everything before this has been, like, minuscule, actually, compared to getting this all clear. So now, this gets loosened up, so then it's easier to do more of this stuff. It's easier to put affirmations in there and have positive thoughts. It's easier to do manifestation and all this stuff, okay? So even though it seems like a big deal, like, you have to take forever, or these things take forever, yeah, they do kind of take forever on one way of thinking. And in another way, it gets easier and easier the closer you get to the goal, so to speak. It gets faster and faster. It's like exponential. You guys know that whole, like, exponential thing in math. So, okay. The other thing I'm going to teach you today is what you can do with your emotions without even doing this. You can do stuff with your emotions without even doing a belief process. If you do a belief process and then do this technique I'm going to teach you, you're golden, man. You're going to get so much faster and further, okay? But doing belief processes as far as classes are kind of hard because it's all individual. It all goes into, like, we have collective beliefs, and I might start doing, like, collective belief processing, actually, where everybody gets to go in there. And we did one at our empowerment process follow-up, and it was really cool because we were like, what's your problem? We're like, well, it's this, 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 and then we realized there's a common theme here. Because we're all connected. We're all part of the same thing. So when you start getting common things, you can do group belief processes. And that actually has an effect on individuals, and it's really cool. I almost got sick, though, the next day. I was so incredibly cleansing out some stuff because it was major. We were like, world peace and stuff. It was kind of crazy. Okay, so never ever doubt yourself. Okay, never doubt that any of this stuff works. Never doubt anything because what's been keeping us in misery, actually. That little doubt is what's been keeping us in this existence, where we feel like this, okay? When you start believing in yourself and believing in what you can accomplish and where you can go and what you can heal and all that kind of thing, everything opens up because that's the real reality, actually. All of the doubts are like what we've decided to create for ourselves, which has been very limited and narrow, so that we can feel things within a limited, narrow perspective, which was useful for us at the time. And it is, because then you really have to feel stuff. And man, people had to feel a lot of stuff. And this has been really intense, you guys, because everybody's been running away from it. So it makes it, what you resist, I'm just writing this down because it's one of my most important phrases. What you resist persists. So, if you are, for instance, on my New Age soapbox, if you are very New Agey and you're like, I just manifested all these things, I'm feeling the great effects, I'm feeling the feelings that are going to create this thing that I just manifested. And I'm just thinking positive thoughts, and I'm doing affirmations every day, and I'm doing meditation, and I'm doing yoga, and I'm doing energy work for myself. Awesome, okay? But if you're resisting your feelings still, you're still going to be back to square one, kind of, almost. That's why people don't like to hear this. They don't want to come to my class sometimes and hear this. But it's starting to get easier to teach people because you're starting to know. You're starting to know this in your gut, that I'm right. So it's like, if we stop resisting, everything is going to start helping us. All of our guides, everybody's going to start helping us. And we're going to start learning how to help ourselves to feel things in a way that's still self-loving for ourselves, okay? Because emotions can be overwhelming, and that's why we've been running from them. And we can't blame ourselves for that because we had no idea what to do. And it's just really intense to be here on Earth sometimes, right? I know everybody in this room is like, yeah. Okay, so not all of our emotions are intense, but all of our emotions can be processed with this technique I'm going to teach you. Like I said, it's more powerful if you do it with belief systems, but if you are very good at what I'm doing here, if what I'm going to teach you, if you really take it seriously and you really do it like a lifestyle, this is going to change your whole life, actually, I think. Because even with, like I said, even just with this information, how can you completely forget it? You can't really forget it. It's like, so if you get really into this, though, and do this, you can even change your beliefs from the emotional body, because it's right next to the mind. Okay, everything's about where the proximity, that's why I did the circles, right? So I figured out that if you want to change your energy body and you don't want to do energy stuff, you could go to the emotional body or you could go to the physical body, right? And they would affect the energetic body. So that's why this is important. Like, you can even change your beliefs from the emotional. And that's why the emotional is so much more important than we've been taught. So much more important. If we start giving it the importance that it has, look, it can directly affect your energy. So if you have really low energy when you go to work every day, there's some kind of feeling that you're avoiding, that you don't know you're avoiding, and you probably have beliefs that are weighing you down, and it can be directly affected by doing this. Okay, just by you starting to feel your feelings, you're going to have a collective effect, okay? You're going to start helping us move towards world peace. That sounds really grandiose, but grandiosity is sometimes true. Because everybody is running from their emotions. That's why we have wars and stuff. Because if they would feel their feelings and then express them, we would have a completely different world. Completely different, right? It's not everything would be about power. It would be about feeling here and then connecting from here. But that's what's happening, is our whole world is moving from the third chakra to the fourth chakra. We're moving out of patriarchal society, even if it doesn't feel like it yet, which I understand it does not feel like it in a lot of ways yet. But on a subtle level, if you kind of feel the subtle level of things are starting to flow a little bit more. Flow in a more feminine way. And that means a lot of stuff for a lot of people, but okay. So next thing, let's get into our feelings. So what I said about generations before, first let's talk about generations. the generations that just died recently, like the generation that fought World War II, this was not their dharma. This was not their divine job, was to deal with feelings. Okay, it would have been too overwhelming, honestly, because the world was not set up in a way that would have, helped anything to happen. So as we get younger and younger and younger, people are going to start coming in with this knowledge of how to do this, actually, without even me needing to teach them, right? But right now, especially the younger generations are like, wow, I feel a lot of stuff, and nobody's teaching me how to deal with that. Because you know why? They're feeling all of the repressed stuff that all the older generations did not deal with before. Okay? So, if you see, everybody knows, like, teenagers are really hormonal and everything. Well, that's true. There's also a bunch of stuff that they're getting, actually, though, from society that we're not feeling. So it gives you a little bit more respect for some of, some of the younger people, hopefully. You guys know, too, like, if children are with a parent that's, like, really upset or something, right? The child starts to feel that, and they'll start to act it out somehow, Even your animals will start to act out different emotions that you have. If you're, like, feeling it, but you're not really feeling it because you're kind of running away from it because you don't really know what to do with it. So you have, like, crazy dogs and cats. I have a kind of crazy cat that likes to bite me. When they have those kinds of habits, you got to kind of look at yourself a little bit. Like, is there some kind of energy field I'm creating here that, is affecting them? All those ADD kids and everything, that's not like, there's reasons for that. There's reasons why they're ADD. And some of it is all of the stuff we put out physically, like, and energetically with the, all the radio waves and all the computers and the cell phones and all that stuff, right? And the impure food. But then there's, like, just all the feelings, too. And we're saying one thing and we're feeling another thing all the time. And until we start becoming more authentic to our own hearts, then, once we do that, then kids are going to finally understand what we're saying to them, Okay. So, bad feelings. Somebody give me a bad feeling. Just be creative. Anything. Hate. Okay. Hate, that is a good question. I'm glad you're challenging me. Hate is probably a combination of different things, right? Because the way that I learned about emotions in Ayurveda, for instance, I have 2 certifications in Ayurveda, which is an old Indian Vedic way of medicine and energy. There's different categories of emotions, right? And you have mostly, for the bad ones, you have anger, sadness, and fear. I have also added guilt and shame. Okay, you guys have this on a handout I gave you. You can look up, because we'll put it down, but I also want you to just see right about there. Okay, hate probably has some anger in it, right? And some fear, right? Just don't just believe me just because I said it. I mean, you can kind of feel into it. Like, what would you feel like if you hated somebody? You'd probably be angry, right? And there's probably some fear in there because fear is the root of almost every feeling that we're running away from. I hate saying negative, you guys, because as soon as you say negative, you've got positive, and then it's all yin and yang, And if we don't accept both yin and yang, then we're over on the other side of the fence, going like this. No. We're all hiding, so much. So, okay, somebody else give me another feeling. Give me another feeling.
Hopelessness.
Thank you. That would go under sadness, probably. That's it's a lack of motivation, right? Or a feeling of like there's nothing that can happen. Oh, it could also be like over here, right? Depends on who the person is, what exact kind of hopelessness you're feeling, right? So I know I had hopelessness before because of my guilt. And guilt is one of those things that is very sneaky. Guilt is keeping us all in shackles. That's what I say. I say that phrase all the time because it's like the sneakiest thing, and it's not even. It's almost like a perversion of emotions because people specifically use this. If you want to get into good and evil, you guys, this is where the real evil is. People specifically use guilt and shame to keep people down. And that goes into every institution in our entire world. Oh, and I always like to tell people, if you want to see about like behind the curtain of things, you know, that happen in the world, watch the Thrive movie. It's called Thrive. It's very easy to watch, actually, and understand. And it's www.thrivemovement.com. Okay, so our real self-esteem is all suffering because we have this. Okay, our real like self-image and our real confidence. Most of us have like half the amount of confidence we have because of these insidious little emotions that have been handed down to us through our parents and our ancestry and like the people around us everywhere. Okay, everybody's trying to pass off something on somebody else. That's why. So they're using this stuff, but they're all trying to blame. Okay. The thing about blame is it just doesn't work. And I think now, you know, we can say this stuff and you can agree, and then like we all have habits of wanting to blame somebody, right? But hopefully after tonight you'll think about it a little bit though when you do it, because blame is not real. There's no real truth to blame, okay? Because everything that's happening is happening for a reason because it's supposed to happen. And everyone is responsible for what's happening. Everyone. Putting it off on one person, even though we all have to take responsibility, this whole habit, all it's doing is keeping people down through guilt and shame. And it makes people sue each other too, you guys. That's like one of my most biggest pet peeves, that people are going around trying to charge other people money because they didn't take responsibility for their lives. Okay. So somebody else give me another emotion.
Resentment.
Good. Resentment goes under anger. So can you guys feel that in your emotional body? If you were resentful of somebody and have kind of that fiery, a little bit of that anger, but almost like you're not totally in it, you're not totally in the anger. Fear has anxiety. Oh my God, that's the hugest thing in the entire world, right? Because most of us are being controlled by fear. That's why I told you to watch this movie, because all these major institutions and all this collective thought is trying to control everyone with fear. And it creates anxiety, restlessness, nervousness, like OCD. There's more. Sadness. You can say a lot of other kinds of sadness, right? Melancholy. Depression. Lack of motivation. It's kind of a major one. So if anybody thinks of it, you can tell me. Just yell it out. There's irritability here.
Jealousy.
Yeah, good job. I always forget about that. Good point, because that's another kind of weird, insidious one that goes along with this whole thing. Okay? When you stop being in your own self and looking outside of yourself, you get into this blame game, and you get into jealousy, right? And those things are all kind of not real in a certain sense. They're like a whole game that we're playing, and it's just not real. But feelings are real. Feelings exist in a continuum of infinity. And the reason why I know this is because my mentor had that experience, like in his consciousness. He was very enlightened. So this is the thing, and this was his major area of study, right? Because not all enlightened people know about emotions. In fact, I was part of a whole bunch of movements, for instance, meditation movements, that did not talk about this at all. And so they're not going to get to the goal, because they're meditating a lot, and they're getting a lot of knowledge, which is awesome, but they're not dealing with this. And I think it's because the guru didn't need to go into that. His major thing was to raise vibration in the world, and he did that. And that's the thing. Everybody has a different purpose. Everybody. And that's the cool thing about every one of you, is that you all have special superpowers, actually, and you all have different life purposes that are specific to you and to your soul, the little, like, circle in there, you know, in your bodies. Okay. And resentment, irritability, jealousy. Confusion is a good one. Thank you. Confusion actually kind of goes under fear, Ayurvedically speaking. It is a little bit harder to identify as part of fear, because it just feels like a lack of clarity, right? It could also go under sadness if you had like kind of like a dullness. Hurt. Let's talk about hurt, okay? Hurt can go in a lot of different places, guys, and it could be a mixture of things. Hurt could be under here. Hurt could be under here. And here, right? Does everybody kind of get that? It doesn't mean it's not its own feeling. You can still always process anything that you feel the way that you feel it. It doesn't matter what you call it. But calling it something can sometimes be useful, because otherwise it's just like this kind of vague feeling. There was one. What was I going to say? There was one. You said it's hurt. I didn't put down in your sheets. I don't know.
Infatuation? Is that something you can say negative?
Okay. Infatuation. Good. Obsession. That goes with obsession. Okay. Even though this is an obsession, right? OCD is an obsession that's based on fear usually. Like if I don't wash my hands a ton of times, I'm being extreme here, then I will get some kind of disease, right? It's all about based on like a fear story. Okay. Obsession could be, you could have, it's really about what's at the bottom of it, because the obsession itself is not really a feeling, actually, if you think of it. It's like a pattern that's based on a feeling. So it could be because you have sadness that you're trying to avoid that you're obsessed, or it could be because you have anger that you're trying to avoid that you're obsessed, or it could be because you have fear that you're trying to avoid that you're obsessed. Most likely it's going to be around here, because this is a big one right here. But it's like in the Ved they say all duality, that fear is born of duality. As soon as things are not all one unified, as soon as we see them not as completely unified, there's some little ounce of fear. So that one's a big deal. Okay, so obsession can go in a lot of places. If you're infatuated or obsessed, you're probably trying to avoid something here. If you have loneliness, that's an emptiness feeling, right? That could be a fear of the void. And just like, or that could be a sadness. Loneliness could go over here too, right? It's all about what it feels like to you as an individual, because you have your own particular mental body and your own makeup, right? But a lot of these things are so universal because we all share this, like, there's a part of our emotional body that's shared through the entire world, okay? So that's why this void, actually, I need to talk about this because I was thinking in the car on my hair, if you don't understand this and some of the consciousness stuff, it's harder to do this technique. The void is a concept, but it is a real feeling for a lot of us, okay? It's that place where you feel like you don't have anything. There's an empty feeling. Like, things are, like you don't have people that love you, or you don't have things you need, or you feel weightless. These things can be bad, conceptualized by most of us as bad, right? On another side of the scale, it's like the best thing ever, actually, because then you're in unity consciousness when you completely accept the void, which is the lack of, the nothingness place. On one side, there's everythingness, infinity, and on the other side, there is nothingness. They're both true, actually. That's the paradox of the universe, right? Okay, so most of your stuff can be put in these places, because if you do that, you can also see what the good side of these things can be once you fully integrate them. And by integrate them, I mean accept them completely as part of you. Okay? Not the story, guys, because the story is just keeping you avoiding the feeling. So the story is not part of, I mean, stories are cool, you know, there's tons of them, there's a million of them. They're not you. You could say they're part of you, but they're not you. Okay? All the stories about, like, what happened to you as a kid, or the stories about, like, you know, what happened to you just now, outside or whatever, they're still stories. They're not you. And that's one thing we have to be, like, really clear about if we're going to do this technique, because you have to be able to identify it as not you. And what really is you is a massive, elegant presence of divinity. That's what you really are. And that does not hurt anymore after you've processed all this stuff that might be in your emotional body, right? Okay. I want you guys to figure out one of your stories. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I want you guys to figure out one of your stories. You don't have to tell me the whole thing. In fact, we don't really have time for everybody to go into this long story, okay? In fact, the whole point is that it's just a story, okay? So I want you to think of one of your stories, and I want you to identify the emotion that you're running away from as part of the story, okay? It really sucks, because victimization, for instance, we can really, like, feel bad for ourselves and for other people who've been victimized, right? But that's still a story, you guys. That's an extreme example, like, of people that have been killed or raped or horrible things have happened to them. It does not mean that those things are good. It just means that they're just a story. Right now, we're going to look at it in a more neutral way, okay? And they keep people, even though, like, it seems like it was not the person's fault, maybe even. It still is something the person came into this life to do, because they're doing this whole pattern over and over again, and they need to see that the story is not them. They need to fully understand that that story is not actually them. Okay? That's why people choose to have these, like, really intense experiences sometimes. So, the only way you can stop doing this forever, and they say this is your chance to ascend this lifetime, that you will have to wait 25,000 years after this if you're not doing it. Sorry, not to put any pressure on your They say, but, to stop doing this, really, all you have to do is start feeling these feelings. And I'm going to go into a whole technique about it, so it's not going to be, like, such a concept, But really, all I'm teaching you to do is feel your feeling, because then it stops this, and you just realize that feeling's not you. That feeling is a part of you. It's an experience you're having right now. It's in your body or whatever, but it's not you. But infinity, okay, in the continuum of infinity, which happens, like, you put a timeline on all of existence, which there actually isn't any time, but I'm not going to go into that. Time doesn't really exist, but if you put a timeline on things, it's like, you are the void. This is what we all are. We are God. Okay? This is actually God. But we have all these negative experiences of it because we have these other things attached to it. We have, like, confusion and hurt attached to it and all this stuff. Okay. Once unity becomes infinity, then there are every emotion you can think of. It's like a rainbow of existence, of God. I'm going to say goddess right now, because if we are going to say that the void is God, let's just, for fun right now then, even though everything's the same, everything's all one, but then let's say that this is goddess, okay? Goddess embraces all of her parts, all of her emotions, right? That's why we're going to learn how to embrace them, because we came here to experience all these things and still know that we're this, still know that it's just a sensation moving through our body. Which we came here because we wanted to have that experience, I guess, you know? Sometimes when you're in the middle of really extreme emotion, your mind doesn't feel like that. I wanted to have this experience, really. Okay. So we're going to stop doing this, and then we're going to be like upping our evolution towards enlightenment this much, okay? I'm going to go to the bathroom. You guys think of one story and identify the feeling. And we're going to identify the positive feeling that you are, the positive quality of consciousness you're going to get from feeling that feeling.
That's still recording?
Huh?
Is that still recording, or did you...
Oh, it is recording, but it's kind of just